Let's get into the box office top 10. As often we do, we start outside it with number 14, Gladiator, the re-release.
Yeah, it's back in cinemas because Gladiator 2 is coming to cinemas next month. So this is, if you haven't seen it on the big screen, it is worth seeing on the big screen. We'll talk about this when we talk about Carrie, but I imagine there is a generation of people who've only ever seen Gladiator on the small screen. It was designed to be seen in cinemas.
I never saw it in the cinema first time around, so I'm definitely going to go and check it out.
It's because you are so young.
Yeah, it's one of those films that makes more sense, isn't it? Like, you know, I was in Rome in the summer and went to the Colosseum, and you know, it just feels wrong even taking a photo of it on my phone. You know, spectacle like that needs to be on the biggest screen possible. Number 10 is The Outrun,
which I really liked. Great performance by Saoirse Ronan, and the fact that it's shot, you know, off Orkney. So is it Papa Westry? I thought it worked really well, and I thought it was a very moving story about overcoming addiction.
Yeah, and I loved how an in-depth that interview was that Simon did. But what I took away was how happy Papa was to be on your show. It was great. I was like, oh, he's a massive fan. You just can't hide it. It felt like kin to me, you know. It was a lovely thing. And number 9, Speak No Evil, which is another one you liked, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, it's, as I said, it's a remake of a Danish film, which is slightly darker in its conclusion. But I thought this had its own identity, and I think James McAvoy is really having a good time playing this character who's smiling but is also very dangerous, which is something that we'll return to later on in the show.
And speaking of danger, number 8 is The Substance, which is still going pretty strong.
Have you seen this, Ben?
I mean, how could I not after hearing your review of it? I mean, I didn't know much about it until hearing your review, and then I was like, oh, it's like a must watch. And I'm like Simon, I can't do horror, but I just thought I have to watch this from the way that Mark's talked about it. And, you know, I'm an LTL, as many people know, and I've got used to the like Kermodian language around films and the body language and the sounds even, you know, like I know... Just like Simon, I know a movie that's preceded by one of your size is not something I'm going to go and pay money for. But if there was ever a Blimey Charlie movie, like the number one Blimey Charlie movie of all time, it's got to be this one. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was seeing at times.
Yeah, I'm really delighted about that.
It's one of the most memorable cinematic experiences I've ever had. And there was a strange moment, actually, because halfway through, 3 15-year-olds snuck in, 3 15-year-old girls. I'd say roughly 15. They looked younger than 16, which disturbed me massively. And they came in with their phones on and everything. I thought, oh, this is going to ruin the whole experience. And it's halfway through the movie. They were like your man in Clockwork Orange with matchsticks in their eyes. They were just immediately shut up into silence, sat back in their chairs, mouths open in front of me, and they were silent from the halfway point to the end. And they only got themselves to blame. It was an amazing movie. Amazing. Maybe a little heavy-handed with the messaging towards the end, but other than that, I thought it was incredible. And Demi Moore is just, wow.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and I'm so glad you had that jaw-dropped experience. Well done.
I was like unmoored for the rest of the day. I was like slightly just shaky. I was off kilter. Honestly, it's crazy. And that's what you want from film. You want to feel something, you know? Just want to feel something. Anyway, number 7 is Buffalo Kids.
Sort of mid-range Spanish CG animation. Sweet enough, but, you know, hardly a classic.
Right, passed me by. 6 is Salem's Lot, which I think you spoke about last week, didn't you?
Yeah, so this is, I mean, the release of this was held up for a long time. In America, it went straight to streaming. Stephen King tweeted, you know, I don't know why they keep holding it up. I mean, it's not like it's an embarrassment or anything, which is like somebody said they should have that on the poster. Not like it's an embarrassment or anything. I mean, it's fine, but it's not, you know, it's not an embarrassment. It's okay.
Yeah, and I think that's reflected in the correspondence as well. Like Lauren Ade said on our YouTube channel, said the major difference between the two films is the era in which it was made. Because back in the 70s, there used to be this raw grittiness in horror films that you just can't emulate in the horror films of today. Although, you know, substance. But anyway, he says the Tobe Hooper version will always win out for me. So, yeah, I think there's a general sense that it's neither here nor there, you know. It's one of those.
Because the Hoop version is a mini-series, it gives the story room to breathe. This is, you know, because it's 2 hours long, everything is very, very compressed. And Yeah, it doesn't feel like we needed to have it. I don't think it was terrible. I read some reviews that said it was complete. I don't think it was completely lame. I just don't think it's, it's certainly not an improvement on the Hooper.
Yeah, and when you've got like Smile 2 and The Substance out there doing their thing, it's going to be a tricky battleground. And at number 5, Vetayan?
Yeah, this wasn't press screened. This is an Indian Tamil language action drama. Not press screened here, but I looked at the Times of India review and they called it a predictable investigative thriller come social drama. So if anyone's seen it, let us know.
Yeah, give us a shout. And number 4 is Beetlejuice, which is still hanging in there.
Yeah, I liked it. It's doing well. This is its 6th week, still in the top 5. And despite some sniffiness from some critics when it opened, not me, it's done well. And actually, I know a few people who've been to see it twice because they've really enjoyed it. I think it's like Tim Burton back being Tim Burton. I think it's one of the best things he's done for a while.
Which is amazing. I mean, I'm terrified. I've been terrified to watch it until I heard your review, and I am going to check it out now because it just felt. You know how it is when you fall in love with a film as a kid and then they do these kind of reboots or sequels years and years later. It very rarely works. So, yeah, I am actually going to take the risk now. And number 3 is Terrifier 3.
See, this is, never was a film sort of more misnamed. It's the Terrifier series aren't terrifying; they're gross out, and this has done it's done very well. It's in at number 3, so it's done well considering that this started as an absolutely kind of DIY little thing made on the quiet. But I'm not a fan, just partly because I sort of think, okay. I like all the I like squishy body horror stuff. There's a certain point after which it's just seeing somebody else get their face, pulled off while a clown laughs. It is what it is. The thing is, if you go and see Terrifier 3, you know exactly what you're going to get. There is,
but it isn't what it is it?
No, it isn't. It isn't terrifying. No, yeah, it doesn't do what it says on the tin, but it does what you know the Terrifier movies do. Yeah, it's just that it isn't what it is. But hey, it has achieved exactly what it set out to achieve, and it's done well at the box office. So there we go. I can't say that there's any part of me that wants to watch any more Terrifier films ever, but there we go.
But there probably will be one. At number 2, it's and again, masses of correspondence still coming in for this. I've not seen it yet, but there's the Joker sequel, Joker Folie à Deux.
The more I think about this, the more I think I'm right. I like the film, and I think it's better than Joker. And I think that history will actually prove that to be the case. I'm starting to get a bit of a kind of Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me vibe about the reaction to it, because so many people were so averse to Joker Folie à Deux, and I think I'm right. I think it's a better film than the first Joker, and I think time will be kinder to it. It is weird how much it has really annoyed some people. And there are things about it that don't work, but it's very audacious. And oddly, it has stayed with me. And it's certainly stayed with me longer than the first film. Yeah, I think I think it's better than the first film. And I think it's an ambitious and genuinely surprising and daring thing to have done with that franchise. I think that's why it annoyed so many people.
Really? I mean, there's an interesting take on it from Adrian on our YouTube channel, who says he's been to see the movie twice in a week, once chiefly on the strength of Mark's review, and then again over the weekend to digest elements I might have missed, thanks to an explained video I watched on YouTube. Truthfully, the negativity surrounding it through online reviews and the herd culture who have weaponized those reviews to use against anyone whose opinion doesn't match theirs only galvanized my determination to see it. It's clearly too clever for some of the knuckle-dragging popcorn munchers, his term, who went expecting a Joker revenge rampage against the system. Clearly those people have never understood the first movie, as it seemed to be hijacked by the DC Comics nerds and those pushing mental health awareness. The opening Warner Brothers cartoon quite clearly encapsulates the first film and gives a glimpse into this one. I would say that the shadow of the Joker eventually left Arthur and attached itself to another who probably is stronger to embrace it. An interesting origin story. It's a dark film, depressing, it's a sad film and a brutal film, but combine all these elements and it becomes quite a beautiful film. The musical interludes don't detract from the narrative. They give the audience a glimpse into Arthur's subconscious. People's thoughts are their most elusive and at their most valuable. Both Phoenix and Lady Gaga give powerhouse performances. It's sad that a lot of people don't want to embrace it because it's not in their image of what it should have been. That's an interesting point, isn't it? Like the expectations that people have before they go into a movie. can really affect how you take it.
Yeah, I think that is the case. And yesterday, I was having a conversation with somebody about the Umbrellas of Cherbourg, the Jacques Demy film, and we started talking about it in relation to Joker Folie à Deux. And I just think it's doing something really interesting and really adventurous. And of course, I can understand people not liking it. People really hating it is a different thing. And I think it has definitely prodded some people because it's not the film that they thought they were going to get.
It's not what they wanted. Yeah.
No, and that's fine. But I genuinely think that it is a much better film than some people have given it credit for. And I will nail my colours to the mast about this. I think that history will be kind to it.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to watch it, and we'll share opinions next time I see you. At number one, pipping that is, of course, Transformers 1 in its rightful home.
Yeah.
1 at 1, which you didn't mind, right? You didn't mind this film.
No, quite enjoyed it. I mean, Bumblebee is still my favourite of all of them, but no, I like this. I mean, this is what a Transformers movie should be like. Transformers are kids' toys, and this is a robot smashy action movie that isn't directed by Michael Bay, doing close-ups on people's bottoms. So yeah, this is what a Transformers movie should be like.
Right. I mean, the correspondence is overwhelmingly positive. There's one from Dara Doyle who says. He says, I saw this with my 8-year-old boy this morning. We both laughed at the jokes. There was gutbusters in there. Genuinely the biggest surprise of recent years. Feltz5 just says, go and watch this movie. It's awesome. Great story, wonderful animation, glorious storytelling. And there's another one here. Who's this from? Paul Ledbury, who says, I would like to address an incorrect assertion Mark has made many times over the years, in which he states Transformers is for kids. That would be correct in 1984 when I was indeed a kid. I'm now 50 and still follow the robots in disguise.
Okay, I just want to say this. It is possible to be a kid well into your 50s. I mean, absolutely. But what I mean when I say it's for kids, I mean you engage with it at that point. It is a kid's toy, but you can love kids' toys. I mean, I'm 62 and I've still got, silent running models everywhere. So I think that makes you, and I say this as a compliment, that makes you a big kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think your point, I always listen to the show. I think your original point was that, this thing is being marketed mainly to kids, and yet there are sort of almost pornographic feels to some of these movies.
Yeah,
which just
I think in the Michael Bay films, it's not even almost pornographic. I think his entire sensibility is pornographic. As I've said many times, I think Michael Bay's entire direction technique consists of him going, "Whoa, hey, whoa," and I just got no interest in that.
No, well, pretty gross. I mean, he's in the wrong business.